complex array of...
It's 3 months since the India-US nuclear deal was signed into law in the United States. And intense lobbying is on for the $160 billion nuclear business pie. Both countries are now holding high-level discussions and are in the process sizing each other up before deals can be negotiated and finalized. 60 members from the US industry and government are currently in India to explore business opportunities. But perhaps they expected a smoother ride.
I think your acceptance here as a supply of nuclear material and equipment will depend on the answer to these three issues. The three issues are, I will put it in an interesting manner: ability, reliability, and liability. Ability is there is a common belief here that America hasn't built a nuclear power station for the past 3 decades. And therefore, why do we need to go to the United States and not to other countries like France and Russia? Reliability is a chronic issue that comes up when we do business with the United States. We go back to Tarapur. The fact that we had a contract and the United States broke that contract and pleaded that it had an act of Congress under which it could not supply fuel to the Tarapur plant, even though it had a contract to do so. And finally, the issue of liability. Now, this has been raised by Americans. This has not been to that extent raised by other suppliers. I don't think the Russians and the French have made such a big issue out of it, but Americans have. And if that is a condition, if there is a level playing field, you are at a disadvantage on the liability issue.
This is a question that has been haunting the Americans for some time and puts them immediately on the defensive.
We have not stood still over those 30 years since 3 Mile Island. We have improved not only the operations but also the safety of our units, that we do not have another 3 Mile Island. So I've heard the rumors, I've heard our competition challenge that we've been asleep. I would say we've far been asleep.
By India joining a liability one that's going to, and by allowing the United States in through the CSC, is going to give India a better competitive position as a buyer internationally of technology. It improves India's ability to get to shop around for cost and effective things rather than just being limited to other countries.
The imminent change in the governments of both countries is also making business and administration establishments on both sides a little nervous.
What I think will sour the mood in India is if any amendments to the energy guidelines are made, we single out India and target India. As for example, if there was something to the effect, which apparently is under consideration, that these will not be transferred to a non-NPT state, which actually would mean singling out India.
In foreign policy matters, we've had a greater consistency over the decades than any other area. This has been an exception compared to the past. But even given the fractious nature of the debate before, it is now Government of India policy, and I think there is no doubt in my mind, whichever formation. And don't forget, a lot of these things get said for political reasons, for political effect, for political purposes.
The nuclear agreement is in place, but the commercial arrangements are yet to be worked out. Experts say it will take at least 12 months for the real action to begin. What is clear is that India is not going to put all its eggs into one basket. The nuclear market pie would be divided between the French, the Russians and the Americans. But in all likelihood, the United States will have the lion's share. For Mint in New Delhi, Rahul Sharma.